Welcome to Rick's Corner, brought to you by Old School Labs, the brand I trust and the only one I put my name to. Use my code drasin12 on the link below.
Welcome to Rick's Corner. The man, the myth, the legend. Now on with the show.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whichever it is for you, but welcome to Rick's Corner. I know you guys like to hear my stories, and I've told you a lot of them, but I've never gone into quite detail about some of them because I forget. I don't really forget, but it doesn't come to me at the time, but there's things that I've done and I've experienced in my life, on my road and my journey, and I'm going to share them with you now. And one of them is Hollywood, because people have a vision of Hollywood of being all this glitz and glamour and movie stars and all that, and it's really not. It's nothing to be like that at all. In fact, it's kind of dirty and disgusting to even go up there, but I'm talking about today. Years ago when I was a kid, it wasn't like that. So let's go back in time to my house when I lived in Beach Street in Bakersfield and I was working out. I didn't know a lot about training. I had some weights in the backyard. I've been through this with you before, and of course you work your arms and shoulders and certain things, and they start to grow, and you start getting good results, and I was pretty satisfied with what was going on with me. But you need more than that. Obviously, you need to get a full rounded body workout. It was always good to have big arms, and we would wear shirts, and we'd go out at night on the weekend, and the shirt sleeves were always tight, make your arms look bigger, and it was an ego thing. Going out on a date, you'd sit in the car before you pick the girl up and you'd pump your arms on your steering wheel, pushing triceps and curls, and hopefully they get a little vein going in them, but I knew a lot of guys that did that. It was really funny. The other thing was you'd hang your arm over the car door and you'd squeeze your bicep against the door, and it makes your bicep look bigger. These are stupid little tricks, but it works. It's the same thing on wrestling. When you take a headlock and you pull your arm by your side of your, or actually a posing routine, it smashes your bicep, it makes it look larger from the side. All right, these are things that people don't even know about today. So I was in Bakersfield and I was growing up. I was in the Army. I got out of the Army. My father passed away. I was in a rock band, as you all know. I played guitar, and that was going to be my thing. And then I decided to start working out, and I'd won a couple of bodybuilding shows. And then in 1965, I made a left turn, as I said before, and I went into pro wrestling. My mom was totally against it. My grandmother hated it, but it's something that I don't know why I wanted to do it. I just wanted to do it. I would always go against the grain of people around me with what they did in their regular jobs. I'd always pick something different to do. Like playing in a band was one thing. Being a bodybuilder was completely out of line because nobody did that, and then you looked upon like you were a freak. Oh, that guy with the muscles, he's just an idiot. Well, it's not true. So I kind of proved that. So when I got into wrestling, I used to have to drive from Bakersfield to Los Angeles. Now, Bakersfield's a small town. It's pretty much like the movie American Graffiti. In the small towns you people live in, you know, everybody knows everybody dates everybody's ex-wife or ex-girlfriend, and on and on and on. And it gets to be routine, and it gets to be no fun. I always wanted to venture out beyond that. So when I started wrestling at the Olympic Auditorium in '65, I'd have to go downtown to LA. And I'd go by myself, and I'm not used to a big city and all the traffic and the things around me, but it was exciting. It was exciting to meet people. It was exciting to see life on the other side of the mountains. It was exciting to have friends that were in the business I was in and enjoyed the same thing that I could communicate with because they had the same passions. And I really liked it. And then I looked at the women down here because I was a young guy and I had a lot of good-looking girlfriends, but in LA, they were 10 times cuter than the ones in my hometown. My God, they had class, they were pretty, and it was fun. So I said, this got to be the place for me. You know, I mean, the Rick has to be where all the women are at the time. So I traveled back and forth from Bakersfield to Los Angeles to train for the wrestling, and then I started getting booked. And they'd send me to San Diego, they'd send me to Fresno, they'd send me all over, and I'd come back to Bakersfield because that's where I was living. Of course, my hometown had its own arena, and I would wrestle there as well, and they would advertise, "Hometown boy is wrestling, come out and see him." So all my friends would come out and watch me. Although they didn't think that I could do it because I came from there. How can you be a wrestler if you're from Bakersfield? It's like, how can you be an actor if you're from here? They're from Hollywood. Well, it's not how it works. But small mind, small town, they think small, and that's how that works. Eventually, I moved down to Los Angeles, and I started training at Bill Pearl Gym, which I had mentioned before. And I met a cast of characters in that gym that were really much, much different than people I grew up with. It's a big city. It's wild. There's wild stories. One of the guys there was 6'7", highway patrolman, 300 pounds. He had entered some bodybuilding contests, but on the side, he owned a strip club and he sold drugs. You imagine that? Eventually, he had to retire, and then he got shot by some mafia thing at his house with machine guns, and that was that. So these are the kind of people that I ran into, and they were nice to me, but it was sure an education in my life. And then I'd go out with some guys from the gym and we'd hit some clubs, and it was a different lifestyle, different atmosphere. I wasn't a club guy, but it's a good way to meet people. And then we'd go down to the beach and take walks, and this picture I put up is a candid shot that some photographer took off the beach. And it's just a really good bodybuilding shot. Well, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I know I just wanted to train. And I had a job at Kellogg's and as a salesman, did cereal, and it's like, this is not cut out for me. I'm not going to wear a suit and tie and go to work every day. But I was wrestling at night and was bringing in income. So I thought, well, that's good for now. And I ended up quitting, moving down to Santa Monica. And then I worked at the gym at the front desk for a few hours every morning and still wrestled at night. And then a commercial came my way. Along with Arnold, we did a Chevy commercial. It was a national spot, and it paid pretty good. And that was my introduction to the movie business. And I thought, well, this could work out pretty well. Back in those days, it was pretty easy to get a job in film if you had the right look and if you could perform on camera. That's a big key right there. So I got that, and I got an agent. The agent sent me out for the movie Ben with all the rats. And actually it came out, and I played a gay gym instructor in a room full of women on a women's gym hitting rats with a broom. And he says to me, "Can you act that way?" I said, "I'll do my best." So I did, and the director just started laughing. He says, "You got the job, man. You got the job." So I said, "Okay." So I went to work and did the job, and that particular day I had the flu, and I wasn't feeling real good, but I wasn't going to miss the job. And I met a lot of people. And so from that point, I went and I did the FBI series. Now, there's FBI out now, 2 series, but this was the original with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., and I played a thug. And so I got on the set, didn't know much about acting, and my line was, "It's occupied." And I stand by a door, the FBI comes in, they want to get in the bathroom, there's a jewel heist in there, and I'm supposed to say, "It's occupied." And so they did a rehearsal. And I'm standing there, and I didn't know it was a rehearsal. And he comes by and says, "Excuse me." I said, "Oh, sure, go on in." He says, "No, you're supposed to say it's occupied." "Oh, okay, I'll do it next time." Well, that was one of the funny things I did, and then I enjoyed it. And I have a list of some of the things. I can't list everything. I have so many films I did. I did 11 movies for my friend Fred Ray as a SWAT guy, as an Arab general, as all kinds of things. A soldier, you name it, I did it. He put me in 12 of his films, and I really enjoyed the work. So I did that, and then I did a movie called Quark with Richard Benjamin. I'm supposed to be some sort of outer space guy with a helmet. And I'm standing on stage, and Joan Van Ark, the blonde that was an actress at the time, had on this sheer see-through kind of a thing, that be kind of like futuristic thing, and my eyes went over, and all I could notice was I could see right through the thing to her crotch, right behind it, and she had no underwear on, and my whole focus was on that while we're doing our lines. I said, "I can't believe this is happening right in front of me," but it was. It's kind of funny. Oh, and then I did Riptide with Joe Penny, and there was a big fight around a pool, a stunt fight, and Gene LaBelle said to me, "Do you want to go in the water, or do you want to be thrown into a tree?" I said, "I think I'll take the tree. I don't feel like getting all wet." And that thing ran for quite a while. After that, I did The Fall Guy with Jay York, the Alaskan, who's now passed away, and they billed me as Handsome Harry, the all-girl fan club wrestler, and it was a good part. And Gene was the referee in that. And then I did Sextet with Mae West, and I worked with all the guys that I worked out with, and we were supposed to be 3 days on the shoot, but we worked a month, and I think it was up at Paramount Studios, so we had to be up there every day. And they had a little gym there that we could use. So half the time, Mae West wouldn't show up because she was old and she wasn't feeling well, so we just kind of work out and eat a bunch of fruit in the bags and have a good time. Dom DeLuise was on the show, a bunch of well-known Ringo Starr, people like that. They all had parts on this movie, and it was really a lot of fun, a good experience. And she was really, really nice. So I did that show, and then I did a lot of print work. I did Winston Cigarettes, which was a week back in North Carolina, and good money. They wanted to give us pizza for lunch. I said, "I'm not going to work. I don't want pizza for lunch. I want good food." And we found a cafeteria down there, or actually a restaurant. I said, "Go get their food. They even have butterscotch pie." So the producers went down, they brought that movie, and they had it catered, that film, and they brought the food over and had it catered to us, and we had the best meals ever. And then they never quit thanking me. And it was a lot of money. And then the wardrobe girl got along with me real well, and so she came and stayed in my room one night. I'm so stupid. But I took advantage of the situation. Okay. And then I did a West cigarette ad for Germany. I ran for 3 years. with this makeup on, and it was on billboards and posters and all over town on the front of the cigarette pack, and that's a pretty nice little job, 3 years of that work. And then I did Camel cigarettes, the man with the camel and the horse in the saddle. And can you pick the Camel filter smoker? And that was me. And there was a girl on the shoot who was very, very cute, and we became friends, and we had the same agent, and I was accused of having an affair with her at the time by one of my ex-wives, but I wasn't. She was just a friend, and I kept saying, no, there's nothing going on, and there was nothing going on. But you know how women, they get jealous. But that cigarette ad ran, and God, every TV guide and Playboy magazine, Life magazine, you name it, it did it. I also did Guinness World Records with Franco Colombo blowing up a hot water bottle over at CSUN, and they had all the stars on there with us, and that made Look magazine as well, and ran for a long time and paid a lot of money over time. Coors beers. I've done quite a few Coors commercials. One with a guy named Brian in the ring wrestling. Hey Mom, hey Rick, hey Brian, how's your wife and kids? And I said, yeah, it's a good commercial. And then I did one as a lifeguard down in Santa Monica, and one as a bodybuilder in Santa Monica. So I had those 3 commercials running, and I did one more running through a brick wall. So I was getting pretty lucky with these commercials. Then I did a bodybuilding, a McDonald's commercial where I had to jump to the ropes and wrestle a guy and throw him through the mat. And of course, they put a cartoon character hole in the mat, and I played a biker, and it was kind of fun. In fact, they brought in food for us. It was a McDonald's commercial, but they brought in lunch, and I brought in In-N-Out burgers, if you can imagine that. A bit much better burger. These were people I met along the way, and then oh my God, there was a lot of auditions we go on where we didn't always get work, but we always networked and made a lot of friends in between. You meet a lot of guys, you meet a lot of girls, and you make a lot of friends. And what happened was I was able to make a lot of money in residuals from commercials when they run, because every time they run, it adds up and they send you a check about once every 2-3 weeks, or maybe almost every week. In between getting your checks, you can collect unemployment, because that's your job and you don't have to go looking. You have an agent. So you collect unemployment, you get your residuals. I was wrestling at night for cash, and then I started a mail order business with Joe Weider, selling my t-shirts, and I made a lot of money doing that. In the year 1979, I made $80,000 in cash just selling t-shirts out of my garage that I designed myself. So that's another part of my life, and then I turned it into airbrushing, then I turned it into tattooing. So I did all 3 of the arts, as also playing guitar and teaching guitar. So that part of my life was really cool. The gym had its characters. It had people from all over the world. You had people from every part of the earth to come train there. And they were all good guys, and we all got along really well. And it was really a laid-back atmosphere. All right, now down to the stuff that many of you have heard of over the years. You know, if you like women, then you like a woman with a good body. That's a given. But if you're a guy, and other guys like you, as we know, as they speak, they like guys with good bodies, so they like bodybuilders. So they would come hang around the gym and get to know you, and of course you would just kind of like tease them a bit and then walk away. But you know, I'm not the least bit gay, so that's not a thing that I want at all. But some of the guys didn't give a darn about it, and they would hook up with them and go to dinner, and 2 of them moved in with some guys. And now there were 2 doctors specifically that would come hanging around, and they would offer the guys certain things like DECA and testosterone if they would come to their house and be around them. And these guys took them up on it, and they became their roommates. But if you wanted any of that stuff, and you really wanted to get it just to get it, you'd make an appointment with the doctor. He was in Hollywood. He was a pediatrician, and you'd go in there to get a shot of DECA or a test, and all along the wall on one side was all bodybuilders. All along the wall on the other side were mothers with babies. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And they were around for a long time, and this went on for a long time with new guys and new people, and I saw it. I was an observer, and I could see things being exchanged and money and gifts and all that kind of stuff. But it was a way to have an income for some of these guys because they didn't know what to do with themselves. And I would tell them, I said, you know, it's short-lived. You know, you might be okay today, then what are you going to do months from now when no one's around with you? You got to get a future. You got to do something to benefit yourself, and this is not going to benefit you. And I think it's still happening today, and it's no different than the girls selling their photos and going out as escorts and that type of thing. It's the oldest profession in the world, and it's probably going to continue forever. But for bodybuilders, that was the way things would work, and I don't know what it is now, but that was part of the 70s, and I saw a big part of it. So what you hear is probably true, and I was witness to it. And I didn't get my stuff from that guy. I got it through Arnold because I thought I'd be safer. I don't have to come across as whatever they want, and I didn't want to. So that was all part of it. Eventually it kind of disbanded and everybody went their own way, and then the gym closed. And then they moved, and so I went to the new gym, and there were new people there, and it was right next to the Pussycat Theater, owned by Robert Blake, who played Barada. And here's another thing, because who would have known that he would have had the gym next door? So trained there for a while, and then Joe Gold opened up World Gym in Santa Monica, and that was right across the street from my apartment. I could walk out my front door and go to the beach and lay in the sand. I could walk out my front door and make a left, cross the street, and go to the gym. I didn't have to drive anywhere. How good is that? And he had an outdoor patio full of weights. Had a lot of actors used to come in there, and one of them, Richard Jekyll from The Dirty Dozen, became a good friend of mine. David Hedison from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, and a lot of actors would come. Candice Bergen used to come down and take pictures. She took pictures of me for some morning show, and I never got to see them because she went on to do something else with her life. But that was kind of fun. And then we did a movie over on Paramount, and it was the one with Mae West, and there's a girl riding a bicycle around. Stopped her and started talking to her. She was just new as an actress, and it was Kim Basinger, who's married to one of the Baldwin brothers. And she was so cute, it was ridiculous. And she was doing a TV show called Dog and Cat. Dog and Cat was like a spy thriller, and there was a bedroom scene. It was kind of a closed set, but a couple of us guys, Danny Gable and I, sneaked in to watch it. And the other actress' name was Veronica Hamill, and I always thought she was hot. She was like one of the epitome of the cutest girl I've ever seen. So I got to meet those people. And then on and on from there, Dom DeLuise, the comedian, he worked with us, and he was funny as he all could be. And we just had a good time. So on, and I got more work and more Hollywood work and more Hollywood work. And my mom used to say to me, how does a kid from Bakersfield get in with this crowd and all of a sudden getting movie work and being seen all over and then being seen in all the Weirder's magazines? I said, I don't know. I don't know what happened, how it happened. It happened so fast, it just happened. And it was a good part of my life because I learned a lot from being around. I knew the city like the back of my hand. I knew Hollywood, and I knew LA and downtown and all over the place. But my favorite place was Santa Monica because it was clean. And then Venice was clean back then too, before it got infiltrated with all the crap that's down there now. But that part of my life, I learned a lot. It was very adventurous, and I enjoyed it. And I kept my Santa Monica beach house, the 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and sun deck that's on the ocean for $165 a month, if you can beat that. And then when I would wrestle, I'd go out of town for a while. I go to the south, I go up to Montreal, Canada. I go to Hawaii once every month for 3 days to wrestle over there, all expenses paid, up to Canada, up to Alaska, you name it, I would go. And I had a great time. Of course, I wasn't having any kids then, so it was a lot easier for me to travel. Then once I started having a family, I didn't want to leave anymore. But I would say that was an interesting career. I'm glad I did what I did. I have no regrets of what I've done. I've had a lot of injuries. I've made a lot of friends. I made a lot of good friends. I made a lot of good friends in the right places. And doing the logo for Gold's Gym just set me up that much higher because it's given me a lot of, what I want to say, it's the most iconic logo in the world. So it gave me a lot of recognition, which allowed me to do other shirts, to do other designs, and keep moving forward. So now at my age, I'm way over the mid-range, but I'm still training and I'm still working hard. And I'm trying to, I am doing what I want to do, and I'm having a great deal of success with it. I can't work out like I used to. I'm not going to be looking like I was at 40 or 35. I was in my best shape at 50, but I didn't have any injuries. Now through tearing quads and tearing triceps and hurting your shoulders and getting a knee replacement and not feeling great, I can't train heavy at all. I go very, very light. But I do enough to stay in shape, and then my diet's pretty darn clean. So I think that's part of staying young, keeping your skin and your body nice and all that. But that was my my adventure through the Hollywood lifestyle, and I went to some Hollywood parties. I went to the Playboy Mansion. I met a lot of people through there, and they all became friends over the years. And I had dinner with some of the biggest directors in Hollywood and some of the biggest producers. I was invited, and I learned a lot from that. I'll never, ever regret those experiences. They were just the best thing I ever did in my life, and it made me who I am today, and I'm really happy that I have the knowledge and the history and the wisdom that took me down that road of a path to be educated and be able to share it with you. So that's part of my journey, and there's more to come. I just have to figure out where. But this part was pretty interesting, and I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you guys for watching. Thank you for all the compliments you may give me. Thank you for all the wonderful comments. You have no idea how much that means to me in my heart. It's just the nicest thing in the world to receive these things from all of you. And a lot of you I don't know, I just know you from what you write, but I feel like I know you. And to me, you're all family, and that's what it's all about. Thanks, and stay tuned for more Rick's Corner. I'll bring you more fun stories, and we'll have a good laugh, right? Have a nice day. See you next time.
Hope you enjoyed the video brought to you by Old School Labs. Use my discount code DRASIN12 on the link below at oldschoollabs.com. Hey everyone, now you can have the Gold's Gym logo drawn by me, the artist Rick Drasin, personalized and made out to you and signed by me to frame and put on your gym wall or wherever you see fit to do so. It's a piece of bodybuilding history. It will never be duplicated again. It's the largest selling icon t-shirt logo in the world, and I'm the guy that drew it, and I will draw it for you. Just go to my website, rickdrasin.com, and order there. You can pay through PayPal, and it'll be sent out right away. And be sure to watch Rick's Corner for all the videos on bodybuilding, nutrition, fitness, pro wrestling, and anything that suits your interests as far as getting physically fit and being the best you can be from the golden era of bodybuilding.
It's Rick Drasin. He's the equalizer, baby. See you next time.